Okay, so my FedEx project is on the Pixar theory and whether it is true or not. And from the title, as you can probably tell, my answer is that the Pixar theory is false. So I'll show you how I got to that conclusion. So for the people who don't know what the Pixar theory is, it's a theory introduced by a man named John Negroni that all the Pixar movies are actually happen in one universe, and they also have a really legitimate website. And this is a screenshot from that. So this is all the Pixar movies up to this date in chronological order. So as we all can see, Toy Story comes first, and then it goes on until Monsters University. But then if you enter the Pixar universe, it changes the order. So Brave, which is one of the really new Pixar movies, is actually happening in the very beginning. And Bug's Life, for example, which is considered one of the more older Pixar movies, it is supposed to happen in the very distant future. So, and all of these movies are connected by the old witch from Brave, who is supposedly Boo from Monsters Inc. So this can be pretty confusing. So I found a video on YouTube, and I did have to edit it to make it shorter because it was super long. So, do I need to have the...
The first film on the Pixar theory timeline is Brave, which follows the story of a young princess named Merida, who in the beginning of the film discovers a powerful magic called the Will of the Wisps. The magic of the wisp is what turns her mother into a bear and also causes animals and objects to act similar to humans. Eventually, the wisp magic will lead to the birth of superheroes. Buddy, or as we know him later in the film as Syndrome, also develops the highly advanced zero-point energy, an electromagnetic energy that exists entirely in a vacuum. Eventually, this energy is absorbed by toys. Now that toys are alive with a mind and conscience like the Syndrome's power, they soon figure out that human love is another powerful energy source upon which they thrive. This explains their constant desire to be played with by their owners. Around a year later in Toy Story 2, the toys discover the danger of being isolated from humans after meeting Jessie, a cowgirl abandoned by her owner who she hates because of this. This hatred towards humans is not only held by toys, but also animals as well. In Finding Nemo, we see early on in the film that fish are incredibly advanced. The fish abhor humans for polluting the sea and capturing fish for experimentation. One victim of this is Dory, which led to her short-term memory loss. As resentment towards humans grew throughout the events of the film, animals developed more curiosity and intelligence. We see these effects of intelligence in Remy, the star of Ratatouille. Remy displays many advanced human characteristics in the film, such as reading and cooking. In Toy Story 3, it's now been over 10 years since we last saw the toys, and they have gone through a lot with humans. They've been abandoned by their owner, Andy, as he has grown, and have been physically abused by young children when they are donated daycare. For these reasons, Lotso Huckenberry despises humans and tries to take care of toys himself. All this tension suggests a possible machine and object uprising against humans. Carl and Ellie from Up are aware of the machine and toy uprising, which is why they claim to live in solitude. However, after being forced to give up his house to mega corporation By and Large, Carl sees it as his final chance to live in solitude and flies his house away via thousands of helium balloons. Carl later encounters an army of dogs led by his childhood hero, Charles Muntz. He discovers that they can communicate with humans and sees their distaste towards them as well. This is a tipping point for the animals, and years later the war between humans and animals begins. The year is 2100 and the war is over. When animals rose up against the humans to stop the pollution, the machines stopped the animals and helped the humans win the war. However, this victory did not come without a price. In gaining victory against the animals, the machines accidentally tipped the balance of the Earth, forcing the humans to live on a spaceship called the Axiom. The remaining machines were left behind to populate the Earth. Talking automobiles now happily roam the Earth without the presence of humans. However, there is but one major major problem that will soon lead to their downfall.
Thank you, Mel. It is very, very good to be here. Now listen to me.
Cars 2, the world is in a deep energy crisis, with oil being the only way that the cars can survive. We soon see that the All-in-All Corporation is using green energy as a catalyst for a fuel war to turn cars away from alternative energy sources. All-in-All is owned by Large, and its fake clean fuel eventually pollutes the earth to the point where it can no longer sustain life. Wall-E is essentially a robot Jesus, and him and his love Eve must save the human race and start a new beginning on Earth again. During the crisis, we see the plant that Wall-E obtains grows into a tree. This marks a new beginning for non-mechanical life on Earth. The tree that grew in Wall-E later becomes a tree in a bug's life. Insects have evolved, they are now stronger and can live much longer than before. Over the next several hundred years, animals and insects quickly evolve into dominant species due to the radiation caused by Large. In Monsters University, animals have all evolved into monsters and accidentally wiped out humanity. Monsters are falsely taught that humans were toxic and from another dimension. This was because monsters became worried about being eradicated and altering history. A few years later in Monsters Inc., monsters realized that humans were a powerful source of energy needed to sustain life, and wiping them out was actually a huge mistake. Thus, machines are created to let monsters use doors of time travel to human generations to harvest energy. Then we meet Boo. After Sully left, Boo never got over him and became obsessed with finding out what happened to him. She remembers that monsters use doors to find her, later figures out how to time travel using wooden doors. She uses this power to go back in time to find the Will of the Wisps and create magic to find Sully by using wood. She leaves 2 pieces of evidence behind that can be spotted and Brave, carvings of Sully and a pizza truck, her 2 favorite things. However, she is unable to control where in time she ends up, thus she is the one planting all the Easter eggs throughout the Pixar films.
So, that was the theory. So it's pretty complicated, but when I was researching, I did notice that the whole theory was based on just 2 pieces of evidence in the movie Brave. So the first piece of evidence is the pizza truck in the witch's workplace, which is supposed to be the Pizza Planet truck from other Pixar movies. But as you might have noticed, if you've watched Monsters Inc., Boo doesn't actually have a connection to the Pizza Planet truck in any way. So I thought it didn't make sense to me how people just made the assumption that the old lady was Boo just because there was the Pizza Planet truck in the workshop. And also, the Pizza Planet truck is famous for being in a lot of the Pixar films, such as Toy Story and A Bug's Life. You can see the little rocket there. And Toy Story 2, and Cars 2, it's the little guy right here, and Finding Nemo, and Toy Story 3, and WALL-E. So I didn't understand why people would just make a connection to the appearance of the Pixar truck in the movie Brave and not the other ones. And the next evidence is that there's a carving of Sully in Boo's workplace. But again, Pixar is very famous for dropping Easter eggs in different movies. So for example, there's Mike Wazowski in the ending credits of Finding Nemo. There's a Nemo doll in Monsters Inc. And I don't know if you can see very well, but the picture is actually a scene from A Bug's Life, which Mrs. Potato Head is reading in Toy Story. And this is a scene in Up, and you can see Lotso, the bear, from Toy Story 3 and the Pixar ball. So again, this is just a few out of many more Easter eggs that Pixar has dropped in like all of their movies. So to me, it seemed people were only making a really big deal out of the 2 Easter eggs in Brave among thousands of other ones in order to make their theory accurate. Also, there was no way Pixar could have made such an extravagant long-term plan in the 1990s. For one, Pixar was on the verge of bankruptcy when making their first movie, Toy Story. So at that time, it was important for Pixar to get the right equipment and the funds to produce a movie, not plan out a huge Pixar universe. And also, I got this table from Wikipedia, and it shows all the directors and writers and producers of all the movies Pixar has made. So if Pixar had created an entire universe at the very beginning, they would not have had this many different people working on each film. And I know Mr. Molnar did recommend that I email Mr. Cody Harrington, who works at Pixar, but he never got back to me. But I did find an article online that interviewed Jay Ward, who actually works at Pixar, and this is his quote from the interview. I think somebody had a lot of time on their hands. They may have had some other recreational activities. It's almost like the 9/11 conspiracy theories. It's like, really, no. The movies were sort of made in a different order by different directors in different times and different places. It's cool that it all worked out that way, but it probably was not intentional. So, my conclusion is that this Pixar theory is false.